Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call, Mrs. Burns, please.
Mr. Congdon?
Here.
Ms. Boyle?
Here.
Mr. Feather?
Here.
Mrs. Hollenbach?
Present.
Mr. Morris?
Here.
Mr. Parentano?
Present.
Mr. Rudy?
Here.
Mr. Santa?
Here.
Mr. Sullivan?
Present.
The quorum is present.
Thank you, Mrs. Burns. At this time, could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Any announcements, Mrs. Burns?
No announcements.
Superintendent's report. Mr. Jones, please.
Good evening, everyone. We, just prior to this board meeting, had a really nice opportunity to recognize our employees here at the Neshaminy School District with regard to their years of service, as well as those who are retiring this year. So it was a nice opportunity for us to kind of gather as a school community with some families and friends and colleagues and just say thank you. And I just wanted to here publicly thank them as well for their commitment, their time, their ongoing work with our children, and a special thanks to the retirees for their work as they take that next step in life to new and better things, even better. A couple of other things that are worth noting is that the Neshaminy Education Foundation had a wonderful fundraiser on Saturday. We had the whole community out, especially our youngest students. I think pushing 1,000 people, 800 to 1,000 people filling the gymnasium, thanks to Chris Stanley as a liaison for that group, helping to coordinate the Harlem Wizards basketball game. It was a fun night, and our youngest community members had just a fantastic time the entire time from start to finish, and so that was good fundraiser. Also, just last night, we had a nice opportunity to celebrate all the good here at Neshaminy, an opportunity similar to what I was just talking about with our years of service, to kind of just pause and reflect on all the good work that's happening. There was a wonderful video that was displayed. This was over at Sandburg, and we hope to get it up on our Facebook page real soon, if not already, just so you can kind of capture a real nice 5 minutes that encapsulates everything that's happening, not everything, but a lot that's good about the system here and about what opportunities are available for our students. And so a lot of nice events that have taken place over the course of the last handful of days. A couple of highlights that were in my principal's report. This is it seems to be an ongoing theme in items that can get highlighted where we're partnering with the community, and Tawanka is today's story because the Tawanka Elementary School partnered with Home Depot, and a representative from Home Depot came out to work with our kindergarten students, and that initiative was to create and decorate planters at the Tawanka Elementary School. Special thanks to Home Depot, but a real nice gesture in terms of just linkage between the community here and our students and some of the work that we're trying to do and get our students thinking about that process, the springtime process. Pequessing students did something similar to what our high school students I reported out on about earlier, where our high school students were fixing up the property behind the high school. The Pequessing students on Earth Day went out to play Wiki Farm on Bridgetown Pike, and there they participated in a cleanup effort as well. Not only did they do the spring cleanup, but they were on a guided tour as well after they were done their work of the farm, limestone quarry, lime kiln, and a whole discussion about some of the history there related to the land. So that was a nice educational experience, but also a little give back to the community on the part of our students. The Pequessing Music Department has been active as well, so I'll stay on Pequessing. It seems to be a focus area for us tonight. And so they had some students who were being the recipients from the Langhorne Council for the Arts, recipients of $200 music scholarships that can be used for private lessons. So both some of our instrumental students as well as our voice students were the lucky recipients of that partnership, and we thank them for their support of our young people. And our middle school jazz band out of Pequesson recently traveled to the College of New Jersey. So that community extends a little bit broader. That's across the river and over into New Jersey, but still not that far, about a half hour away. And we had a real nice opportunity there to work with the director of their jazz studies, Dr. Gary Feinberg. And so our students received some coaching, they played, they listened to some of the college students perform, and it was a real nice opportunity to link with the college as well. In addition, in my report, I do note that Mrs. Markowitz is providing a semi-annual report on the business operations of the district, and so that's an every month feature with a different cabinet level administrator reporting out in writing, and so you can find that online as well. And then finally, I do want to recognize our art teacher, Justin Bursk, and the Hoover Elementary School. It's a little tricky at this time of the year because our art department is having art displays in the building as well as our district art show. But Mr. Bursk has Hoover art examples here from his first graders. And I think what's interesting about this artwork this month, decorating the walls here in the boardroom, is just the combination of not just the art but also other disciplines. And so you'll see he talks about some symmetry concepts and things that connect back over to some of the mathematics that the students are studying, some patterns and the like. And so it's nice when we see the cross-disciplinary work of our teachers, and our art teachers are very focused on that across the district. So that is my update on my report. And at this time, I do have a couple of presentations. First, I'd like to introduce Brian Rotz. He is coming, he's a representative of Music and Arts, and he's here to inform you about some nice recognition for the district. Mr. Rotz.
Thank you very much.
You can press the button right there on that microphone.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here this evening for such a great tribute to how you support music in your communities. My name is Brian Rotz. I'm the School Services District Manager for Music and Arts. We are a full-service music store serving the southeastern Pennsylvania area. Music and Arts is a proud member of the National Association of Music Merchants, NAM, as we call it in the biz. In March, Music in Our Schools Month, 527 school districts and 92 schools across the nation were being recognized by the National Association of Music Merchants, or NAM, Foundation for their outstanding music education programs. In cooperation with researchers at the Music Research Institute at the University of Kansas, and based on survey results, the NAM Foundation each year selects school districts to be recognized as being among the best communities for music education. Now in its 18th year, the awards program recognizes outstanding efforts by teachers, administrators, parents, students, and community leaders who have made music education part of the curriculum. Designations are made to districts and schools that demonstrate an exceptionally high commitment and access to music education. These districts and schools set the bar in offering students access to a comprehensive music education. And I am pleased to present this plaque in honor of to the Neshaminy School District for being one of the best communities in music education from the NAM Foundation for 2017. You're allowed. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
Ms. Wendy Robeson is our lead teacher for music. Ms. Robeson.
On behalf of the music department here at Neshaminy, we'd like to thank the school board, the administration, and especially the music teachers in our district for all their hard work. Without you and them, we could not have made this possible. Thank you.
Just wanted to add that we appreciate the tremendous support of the community and the school board in allowing our students to continue to pursue all of their passions and their talents in music and the fine arts. Again, thank you very much for this recognition.
All right. We have one other presentation that was scheduled, but our presenter is not here with us this evening. But I do want to recognize Donna Bermulo-Magren. Donna, could you want to step up to the podium and explain what wonderful work we did earlier, you were able to accomplish with your students earlier? This was an effort on the part of the school to match a community interest in seeing our students, help support them. And I'd like Donna to explain just what she was able to accomplish in really short order. And I know that the community wanted to come out and specifically thank you, and thank you for not only your time, but your ability to get this work and this phenomenal performance. Explain, please.
We go out to the park racetrack, usually in October, and perform for the veterans that come all the way up from Washington, D.C. They do a whole tour from like 6 in the morning, and then they end at the park's racetrack. And we feel honored to play for them patriotic pieces as they come through, and they're very energetic, and they love hearing us, and I look forward to doing it every year. So it's the honors group for the veterans.
And Donna, I'm new to the system, as you know, and so I'm watching from afar through our modern technology, because on Facebook, Mr. Stanley, I guess it was that your video, Mr. Stanley, or somebody provided that to us?
Yeah,
of
he
the
was
event. So Mr. Stanley, who's everywhere,
Yes, he is.
yeah, he has captured what you described on film, and it's playing on our Facebook page, and it's just an exciting thing to see, to be able to know that we're able to greet our veterans in that fashion with such enthusiasm, and that the young people took time out of their day. That was a school night. I saw Dr. McGee was there. I don't know who else was there from our adult side of the ledger, but it was just wonderful to see from afar. And I thank you. It wasn't even October this year. It was September 26th. So I have it only in front of me. That's why I know it. And it was just phenomenal to be able to get our students together and pull that off. And thank you so much for everything you do. Thank you. Are we doing it again next September? Well, we've done it in the past. Yes. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I will do it every year.
All right, at this time, we're going to move to our first public comment. Please state your name, area you reside, your profession, and please no personal attacks. Mrs. Burns, please.
Cindy Bowman.
Cindy Bowman. I reside in Feasterville, and I'm a Philadelphia school teacher, Philadelphia School District teacher. I just wanted to open first by saying congratulations on the addition of your Chromebook technology. I understand that you're rolling this out for the 3rd and the 4th grade. However, I'm hoping this is just the start of more one-to-one technology for all students. That also includes a blended learning model for our students. I feel at the high school level, this type of learning environment better prepares our students for college. When I teach college, most of the curriculum and the assignments are posted, they're accessed, and they're graded online. So by adding and using platforms like Google Classroom and other apps, it better prepares the high school students for that college curriculum environment. Also understood that some of the technology in the Chromebooks were covered by grants. And this is something that I personally am attached to, as I obtained a grant for Chromebooks through Dell in 2015. And it was for blended learning. We got 25 computer carts in my school, 15 computers each. So I recently applied for a grant through the schoolfoundations.org, and that was for $39,000. And I'm just wondering if that was something that you applied for the Chromebooks. If not, I would like to see the grant writing happen a little bit more. Grant writing can pay off immensely for the district. And I'd like to see the district invest more time in writing grant, especially for our STEM technology. Thank you.
Steve Rodas.
Good evening. I'm Steve Rodas. I live in the villages of Flowers Mill in Langhorne. First thing, I think these awards to the district for music and the arts are fantastic. It kind of renews my faith in kids getting a well-rounded education, which obviously includes the arts. So I don't have to make any more comments regarding Mr. Holland's opus. So, because this is great, it's being obviously continued here, and it's fantastic. Secondly, what are the projected savings, and you can expound on this later, from taking back the enumerated programs from the Bucks County IU? I know there was a list of a lot of programs, primarily in the autistic category, level 1. But I'd like to know what the overall savings is, because I don't believe it was mentioned on the website. Now, it's primary election time once again. Now, I want to preface this. This is not an individual attack on school board members. It's just an observation on the whole process as I see these things go on, so nobody should feel badly. So it's primary election time once again in Neshaminy, and I'm looking forward for a meaningful explanation of why candidates are permitted to cross-file. It makes no sense to me, and it seems to take advantage of low turnouts in primaries. In this season, I would appreciate someone, anyone, getting up and stating some principles, that's not the ALS principles, that's principles, upon which they stand for election and or re-election to the school board. So this is my lead into asking the school district to allow people who are going to run for election to utilize the TV station that runs all of the Neshaminy programs and have debates among the candidates so that everybody could see it. It goes out to everybody in the district. I think it would be pretty beneficial for people. And since we know now what it costs to build a new elementary school, so do we go back to past practices of basically letting, it's good enough, my parents, my grandparents, they all went here to school, it's good enough? Or do we keep in step with the roadmap, which finally got the district moving in the right direction? Okay, I'll finish off later. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Susie Drake.
While Ms. Drake comes up, I'll answer a couple of questions. It was a Ready to Learn grant. It's a state grant for us, so it's a little different from the type that you're talking about. But our board members echoed some of the same words, Ms. Bowman, that you just mentioned at our last Business Operations Committee meeting about encouraging more active grant writing on behalf of the district. And the number is $1.233 million. $1.233 million. Sorry, Ms. Drake.
Sorry, it was lit when I walked up. Susie Drake, Neshaminy High School teacher, NFT, vice president, alum, taxpayer, all that. I just want to thank people for a number of events. We had a candidates forum that was sponsored by the League of Women Voters, and I think it was nicely supported by the community and something that I hope to see in the future, as our budget is quite large and it's nice to provide an opportunity for all candidates to speak. Also, the Wizards game, phenomenal. Thank you to everybody who came out to support. Yeah, when we were looking at things to bring to the Ed Foundation, we wanted something that spoke of Neshaminy, and we wanted fun community event, and this was that in spades. And last night we had a day of action, which was amazing to see the support staff, the district, and the NFT working together to move this district forward. We've come a long way in the past few years, and I'd like to keep that momentum going. And just personally, I'm the advisor for the Interact Club. I've spoken of our Sunshine Child. The kids adopted a young man with special needs for the Sunshine Foundation, and it's a Feasterville-based charity. It was brought to us by the Feasterville Rotary last year. The kids set a goal. As of about half an hour ago, we are $189 away from achieving our goal, but we're moving forward. And Thursday afternoon at Neshaminy High School, if anybody is so interested, 3 o'clock, we're starting a scavenger hunt. And at the end, we'll be revealing to Jaden that he will be receiving his dream of going to Disney. Family already knows it's coming in November, but it is nice to see the kids set a goal, carry it through consistently over the school year, and achieve that goal. And problem solve along the way, because we had some bumps in the road, but it's a phenomenal organization. So if you're available, just come in through the main entrance. We'll have cake, maybe punch. I haven't gotten that far yet. So thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve Administrative Appointment 2.01. Can I get a second, please? Second. Mr. Sullivan with the second. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Be it there none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No abstentions. I believe it passes 9-0. Items that are going to be for approval at the public meeting, which is in 2 weeks from this evening. We're going to have on the agenda overnight trips, reappointment of representative to the Bucks County and Montgomery County School Healthcare Consortium, annual appointments of the 2017-2018, appointment of the auditor, memorandums of understanding with Middletown Township Police and Lower Southampton Township Police, appointments of a treasurer, appointment of a board secretary and assistant board secretary, Sunday facility usage, contracted services, addendum to source for teachers contract, acceptance of donations, Bucks County Technical High School budget for 2017-2018. Transfer of entity, Bucks County Intermediate Unit Number 22 Special Education contracted services for 2017-2018 and the 2017-2018 proposed final budget. I don't think I left anything out there, Joe. All right. At this time, we're going to move to our committee reports. First one is business operations. Ms. Hollenbach, please.
Our next business operations meeting is Monday, May 15th, where we will be finalizing the proposed final budget.
Thank you. We're going to do the educational development and policy. Ms. Boyle, please.
We have had our last educational development committee meeting for this year. We will reconvene in the fall, and the next policy committee meeting will be the 23rd of this month, and at 6:30, the boardroom. Anyone is welcome.
Thank you. And we're going to go into our representative reports and the IU board. Ms. Boyle, once again, please.
The next IU meeting is on the 22nd. That's in Doylestown at 7 o'clock.
Thank you. Neshaminy Education Foundation, Mr. Feather, please.
I think Mr. Jones summed it up pretty well, some of the events that we just recently had, and we'll report on anything coming up in the future as we move forward. Thank you.
The PSBA liaison, Mr. Pirantano, please.
The main topics of discussion still surround the budget cycle at the state level. As we talked about before, while they're proposing a increase in basic education funding, there will be a definite decrease in transportation funding. It still hasn't been decided yet how much that will be. PSBA is actively supporting school boards around the district, trying to make sure that we get the most funding that the districts deserve. But in this climate, it's going to be very difficult, and just hope that the cuts aren't as drastic on the transportation side as they're currently proposing. They have released the new 2017-2018 legislative directory. If you go on the PSB website as a board member, you can either call them or apply for it through the website, and they'll send you a copy. The information is also downloadable on the website if you want to download that. And they're starting the elections for some office positions with the PSBA. I believe I sent an email to all the members. That information is, again, also available on their website. So until June 30th, when the budget hopefully settles, the main topics going forward will surround revenue and finance. So thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Technical school, Mr. Rudy, please.
Yeah. The board meeting the tech board meeting consisted of basically regular business there was a discussion on renovation options that we're looking into at this point. Also, 3 schools have approved the budgets thus far. That was pretty much it.
All right, thank you, everyone. This time we're going to move to our second public comment. Once again, we're going to limit it to 3 minutes. Please state your name, area you reside, and your profession. Please, no personal attacks. There is no sign-in, so if you'd like to come up and speak for 3 minutes, feel free.
Okay, my name is Dave Marrington. I've been a long-term resident of Langhorne Borough, 37 years and counting. I'd like to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me. I know a lot of people up here, a few people in the audience. I'm a retired school teacher from Council Rock, and I am a candidate for school board. I'm a 1970 graduate of Neshaminy. My wife and I put 2 children through the school district. Kate, who graduated from Neshaminy in 2011, from Penn State in 2015. She earned a master's degree in business from University of Chester in London, England last year, and she's currently working down in the D.C. suburbs. Our son, David, was a 2015 graduate from Neshaminy, where he was a state champion in track. He's got himself a track scholarship. He's also currently a sophomore at Penn State, and he may share his grades with us. We're not sure. They don't have to. We have the idea. But I'd like to publicly thank the Neshaminy School District, teachers, coaches, administrators, and all the people that were really so instrumental in the success of our kids. I'm, as a Neshaminy graduate myself, very often we kind of forget those of us who helped us along the way, and I just want to thank everybody who was involved. At the same time, I have to say that the foundation for both of our children was at Oliver Heckman. And I can't tell you how sad we were, how hurt the people of Langhorne Borough were when Oliver Heckman closed. I was first approached about running for the school board. My first instinct was to turn and run the other way. But the more people I talked to in our community, friends, neighbors we've known for a lot of years, the parents of the kids, that our children are still friends with, the more I felt, no, I can't run away. I need to get involved. And I know it's a controversial subject, but part of what got me motivated was to make every attempt to reopen Oliver Heckman. So that's why I'm here, and I'm going to leave it at that. So thank you.
Susie Drake. I just wanted to reiterate the work of the Ed Foundation. We do have some upcoming events. On May 15th, 16th, and 17th, we'll be having Bertucci's night, and typically we've paired these now with Election Day because you vote twice a year, every year. That's what we're trying to get people to realize. And you can go to Bertucci's after you vote and get us some more money that we can then funnel back to the students via scholarships and to the classroom via grants. So please come out and support Bertucci's. And I just wanted to compliment the music department. I was not a stellar musician, but, you know, concert choir got me to Germany and got my taste, my love of travel going. And my niece, as a product of the Neshaminy music program, is currently studying abroad as a high school junior in France. So music in Neshaminy is amazing, and the Tour of Honor, Joe will be telling you guys about it, is just so special. I'll let Joe speak more about that, but I know I want to be there this year in person because I've seen the videos and I know the impact on our veterans. So thank you.
Okay, Steve Rodas again. I live in Flowers Mill in Langhorne. I want to remind the school board members of one thing. You're here to do what is right for 8,500 students of the district. So here's my goal for this following upcoming year. I'm going to try to get you, all the members of the school board, to link education and students in the same paragraph. Because I think that it's all been open this school, close that school. We don't like this, we move these kids around. It's time to go back to educating the children. And I hope that's what you do. Thanks.
Good evening, Deborah Harker, Middletown Township. I would just like to say that I've been very happy with the progress that the school district has made over the past few years in order to consolidate our buildings so that we can run our budget as leanly as possible so that we can make greater investments into education. The progress that we've made with the arts, music, integration of STEM into our technology is all because we have a greater availability of funds due to consolidation. When we talk about buildings and the possibility of reopening buildings, as one candidate just spoke and as Mr. Rudy spoke of during the candidates forum, I find that to be very fearful as a parent who's going to have a child in this system for the next few years, because any possibility of reopening a building will come at a great expense that will come directly out of my child's education. So I would like to see the school district move forward with making investments into education, and it's really time to put these buildings behind us. There really is no need to open one building at the expense of another. There are just as many students that attend the Twin Oaks that live in the Twin Oaks development and attend Pearl Buck as live in the Langhorne Borough and attended Oliver Heckman. So trading one for the other for nothing but a great expense of upwards of $20 million, I find to be a waste of taxpayer dollars. With that being said, as the one man spoke, Mr. Merrington, and I believe your children left the school district in 2011. At that time, we had the obligation of putting forth something of 5% of payroll towards teacher pensions. That number is now upwards and over 30% of payroll every single year. And while Mr. Rudy at the candidates forum spoke about the relief of PSERS leveling out, I find that to be fearful. Leveling out at 5%, 6%, 10% of payroll would be manageable, but leveling out at 30%, 32%, and 35% of payroll is no laughing matter, and you need to take a look at the budget line a little bit better. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Good evening. I'm Adam Kovitz. I too am a candidate. And I think what you're hearing tonight is a certain level of frustration on both sides. There's a lot of good things that the school board has done. There's a lot of amazing things. There was a great STEAM expo. There was a fantastic basketball night. There's a lot of great things happening. But I think at the end of the day, we have to look at this school district as there are two parts of this school district, and consolidation did some really good things for Lower Southampton. It didn't do quite the same for Middletown Township and the people of Middletown Township. And we want to give our students every opportunity to learn. Again, we're here for all the kids. So let's separate, as a recovering engineer and rocket scientist, I try and separate the emotion out and I try and look at the data. And based upon the homework that I've done, what I see is that Middletown Township, we're over capacity by 106% utilization. That's an issue. And we'd like to pat ourselves on the back for all the good that we've done, and certainly we're deserving of it. But I think it's also time that, again, without living in the past and without opening up old wounds, we have to figure out what we're going to do as a district to support the elementary kids that really got the short end of the stick in Middletown Township as a result of this consolidation roadmap. You have a school like Pearl Buck that's 130 students over capacity. That's an issue. That's an issue, and something needs to be done about it. Again, let's put the emotions aside, let's look at the data, and let's see where that leads us. Thank you very much.
Cindy Bowman, Lower Southampton Township, Philadelphia school teacher. I also am a candidate from the Lower South area, and I just wanted to personally thank the school board for all the improvements that you've made to our district. I have 3 children that went through the Neshaminy school district, and my oldest went through an elementary school that had no environmental controls in the building, air conditioning, no security system. He would come home in September and June with a red face, very difficult for him to focus in the classroom. I would see teachers coming out of the schools sweaty, wearing almost tank tops because it was so unbearably hot. When children are hot and uncomfortable in school, they don't focus on their work. So I just wanted to personally thank you for the improvements you're making to all the buildings and how committed you've been to upgrading our facilities to be more energy efficient. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Wendy Ropeson. I live at 2 Quest Road in Quincy Hollow. I want to invite every single one of the school board members here. Music is taking place this entire month. If any week you can come out to any one of the schools and see an amazing performance from elementary all the way through to high school. I take this moment to say, please come out, take a look at the schedule, and if you can't find it or locate a date that you can come to, please email me, and I will tell you which date and what concert is going on at which time if you would like to know. Please come out and support the Fine Arts program. Here at Maple Point, we're having a Fine Arts Week, May 9th, 10th, and 11th. The art department is having their art show, and the Maple Point Choir, Band, and Orchestras are also performing at the same time. That is also taking place at Bequessing. The high school has many concerts and an amazing program. Superior adjudications from Hawaii, and our middle schools are going on adjudication. Please take the time and see the amazing work of our students. Thank you.
We're going to take the close of our public comment to circle back around to the presentation portion of our program, because we now do have in attendance from the Bucks County Recorder of Deeds, Joseph Zaffron. Mr. Zaffron? Saffron? There's a lot of letters in that name.
You did much better than most
Better
people.
than most, but not perfect.
No, you were fine.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
good.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Mr. President, members of the board, Mr. Jones, my name is Joe Saffron, and I am the Recorder of Deeds of Bucks County. And what I'm here for tonight is we have a program in Bucks County which is known as the Bucks County Tour of Honor. Our mission is to take veterans down to Washington, D.C. for a day of honor, to let them see the monuments and memorials that we're building there on their behalf for their service of our country. And in the interim, we have a celebration when we come home down at Parks Casino East. And what I'm here tonight for is to thank the Neshaminy School Board and the Neshaminy Band for participating. They've done this will be our 4th year, and for 2 years they've done this outstanding job performing for the veterans when they come home. Most of the veterans, what they recognize when they come home is the crowd that's there to greet them, and then they recognize that the high school bands that are there. And Neshaminy is one of 3 that are there. And we're here tonight just to show our appreciation and thank them for the service that they provided for us and greeting our veterans when we come home. So if it be, we already know each other, and this has been great. In fact, last year we had a young man who actually played taps live for us, and is he still with us?
He's still with us. He's a junior, so
that's good. So we'll be able to use him again on this here. So thank you on behalf of the Bucks County Tour of Honor. I want to thank you and the Neshaminy Band for everything you've done for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a little information. This year we have decided that we are going to we're doing 2 trips this year. In fact, one is coming up on June 5th. We are doing a trip just to recognize the Vietnam War veterans. We are taking 6 buses down to Washington, D.C., and I haven't asked yet, but I'm hoping that the Neshaminy Band will be there for us on the 5th of June. And the other trip will be in October, which will be World War II and Korean. If anyone knows any veteran that is a World War II or Korean veteran, please have them call us, sign up for the trip. Flowers Mill, we're looking for anybody from over in Flowers Mill to World War II and Korean veterans that we can take them to Washington and thank them for their service. And we appreciate everything you've done. And thank you for supporting the band that supports us. And thank you so much. And good evening. And have a good night.
Any future topics? Okay, be it there none, we're going to move on to board comment. You wanna go?
I just wanted to address Mr. Rodas, in terms of cross-filing, right, The position of a school board director is supposed to be non-political, just like as in the judicial candidates. And that's the reason, of course, people do cross-file, because you're not supposed to be actually sponsored by a political party. You're supposed to put yourself out there for anybody who would like to vote, okay? I would like to say that there's a lot of opportunities that candidates for school board can address the public. I don't think that the board meetings are the proper place, okay? Because we're really, as like tonight, we're really here to honor, say the music department, right? And I think when people go up and make their statements, right, you are taking time away, from the real purpose that we're here. So that's all.
Thank you.
I've seen them function down at the casinos. When Mr. Saffron came down to the Knights of Columbus and he showed some video, it is a tremendous function. And what an honor they do, and seeing everybody chip in and ride the veterans down. And they also have guardians that will, assist them if they have any ADA issues, health issues, and things like that. It's a great chaperone experience too. If you want to chaperone for them, it's really heartwarming. I think it warmed my heart. We have things going here. Cross-filing in reference to what Mr. Rodas was speaking of. And I brought this motion up before in reference to the school district running at large. And running at large means all 9 of us here will represent the school district. So really what you're doing is you're voting in people at the school district level, the entire school district level, where it's a fairer playing field. Like in Middletown, those who did not support not closing those schools were voted out. And it was a referendum on both candidates. So I think it would be a great idea, a great opportunity now on considering what's happening in some of our townships and things that are going on, that the school board allows this to happen and actually takes a vote on it. But you need 5 votes to get that. And, I never said I represent one area. I'm an elected official from one area. But my decisions come in for the overall concept of it. That could have been simply skewed that Middletown got the new school and we closed the middle school down, which should have probably been, in my opinion, as you know, down in Lower Southampton because it was a 52% projection rate in the middle school. So it's just a matter of where you have your votes. Regardless of how that falls, that's old issue, but I don't believe the school district should be voting in at regions because the mandate from the voters obviously would be that the lower side or whomever the 5 votes were, 6 votes were, that voted the new school in, there's a mandate up in Middletown that was the wrong thing to do. You hurt one to enhance the other, to improve the other 2 down on the lower side. And that's how it appears, and it just seems inappropriate. I'll try to watch my words on this. And as far as running at large, also, which will help, is because there's not a Democrat that can be voted in down there. That's how the party works. And, God bless them. There's some changes coming on down there. It's already started, as we know. It's a good thing. I don't know how else to say it. But I doubt if it would have been, if it was just a Republican side. A little fairer playing field, Republican, Democrat. We know what they do to Democrats and chop their heads off. So, that's another whole issue. But I think Middletown supports Republicans and Democrats. That's why we have a fairer playing field up here. And that's one issue. The candidates should run at large. I do believe that. We don't run to represent just our area.
I think.
Excuse me, I'm not done.
I'm sorry.
You can have your moment. That's where all our money was spent. And I don't believe there was a penny savings when it comes down to what we did in the past couple of years, regardless of what that consolidation plan was. That's it. Thank you. Oh, one thing. I want to congratulate Lower South for finally taking the right decision on the Board of Supervisors for swearing in Chief Ted Krimmel, an upstanding guy with integrity and sitting on the right side of law enforcement.
Mr. Morris, can we keep it to the agenda items, please? And to at
Agenda
least,
items, we're not on agenda items, it's board comment.
and
correct?
at least the school district?
This is the school district.
What is the school
I'm
district?
just,
Lower Southampton Police Chief is not the school district. Let's keep it to school district matters, please.
okay. We're going to be voting on a memorandum of understanding. Mr. Condon, did Police Chief Ted Krimmel see the final documentation that you're asking him to sign. I'm just congratulating the man on his position, and congratulating Lower Southampton, which rarely comes by the park anymore. That's all. I'd like to congratulate all our police chiefs for a great job and a new day coming.
I just wanted to say that the Neshaminy School District comprises of a lot of students from a lot of different areas. Humeville, Pendle, Middletown, Langhorne Borough, Langhorne Manor, yes, Lower Southampton Township. We are the Neshaminy School District. And if anybody is interested in what the Neshaminy School District is doing, I highly recommend you come to the education meetings to see all of the great things that we are doing. We had an education meeting last Thursday. Not one person from the public came. Not one. So if you're interested to see what Neshaminy... No, Mr. Rodas wasn't here that day. He must have still been on vacation. We were very lonely. There are a lot of great things that the Neshaminy School District is doing for our children of the entire district. Thank you.
Yeah, ready? All right. All right, just 1 second. I just wanted to clarify at the forum the other evening, my comment on PSERS was basically to state that it was leveling off. It's as onerous as it is. I wasn't undermining or making small of it. It was basically that as large an obligation as it is now, it's about 32%. It's not expected to go up too much more. It is fluctuating a little, so we are pretty much at the top. So that was my point. Thank you.
Clarify that I think when people are elected to the school board, you should make an attempt to vote for the entire, for the good of the entire district. Unfortunately, the way our election, functions, right? People are elected, by regions, and that's, unfortunately, I think it would take some kind of governmental action to change that, right? But that's all.
Too many people. Thank you, Mr. Condon.
We have 4 seconds.
Oh, been a great evening. Brought up the issue of grants. Grants have been on our radar for quite some years now. To be honest, we really started talking about it about 2 years ago to get more aggressive with it. It's just a matter of fact that we had so many balls in the air at the time, doing so many projects. It was just one of those things that fell to the bottom of the wish list to do. As Mr. Jones mentioned, we are committed to investigate that to its potential. Mr. Jones wasn't here at the time, but that was one of the reasonings for hiring someone that Mr. Stanley has the position of now. We don't know if we can, do that or expand that role, but we do want to get more actively looking for grants because there is a lot of money out there that we can take advantage of. Mr. Jones, if you come to the business meeting, he introduced an aggressive vision to go completely one-to-one over the next 4 to 5 years in technology, and we're using that as a budget item right now. So we're going to see where that can take us. But funding is funding, so that's always the hard thing to do. Mr. Rodas mentioned about the televising on Neshaminy TV. I would support that, as long as a nonpartisan group is doing it. I wouldn't allow it to be an advertisement. I was very impressed. It's the first time I ever attended a League of Women Voters forum. I was very impressed with how the forum was conducted. And in the future, if the board wants to discuss that in policy, I would support that. But I would only support it if it's run by a nonpartisan entity. I would not support it as a just standalone. Give you so much time to do that. The Teacher Appreciation Awards today, third year I've been able to be witness to it. We recognized people here from 15 to 35 years, plus our retirees. We had one was 40 years, wasn't it? One was 40 years. It was just a great event to reward these people that have worked so hard for us. The band working with the Mr. Zaffron to support the veterans, that's just a great thing. I mean, just very, very impressed with all the work that we do to support that as well. Mrs. Drake, I've mentioned this before. I'm very impressed with the work that you're doing with the Interact Club and how you bring those students along. And I'd like to talk to you afterwards about the Sunshine Foundation thing. Neshaminy's had a lot of turmoil in the last few years. We've some divisiveness, to say the least. But I firmly believe that everybody that participated in it, whether or not they were for it or against it, the one goal of mine is to create an environment that was best for our children, as Mrs. Hollenbach mentioned, all our children, not just some of them, all of them, and secures our taxpayers' future. Whether you like it or not, that's what the roadmap plan was about. $65 million was spent, invested in 7 schools total, without a tax increase, by just re-amortizing our bonds over an additional 10-year period. Middletown area schools had an investment of $25 million. Those schools included Sandburg, who got a full pool renovation, got air conditioning and various other Giza. Hoover, which we did a tremendous amount of work in, new window walls, air conditioning. Just restart that, Mr. Congdon. Great improvements at Hoover from what Hoover used to look like. We're doing, Schweitzer was done as well. Miller will be getting its air conditioning and its security vestibule. Pearl Buck is getting the air conditioning repaired through our normal maintenance projects and also getting the security vestibule. At the end of this summer, all the elementary schools will have the same healthy environment for our children. In an Neshaminy classroom, the most important thing in any classroom is a quality teacher at the front to lead the students. And this administration currently, as well as prior administration, have done tremendous work with our curriculum development, with our implementation. The staff has really jumped on board, both the support staff as well as the teachers. And, there was a recent report, showing where Neshaminy High School ranked and is where the district ranked as a whole. Where 3-4 years ago that we were considered 256, and now we're like the district's rated in the top 80s in the state. I mean, that didn't come because we sat around and did nothing. That caused because a lot of people put a lot of hard work in. They sacrificed, and board members, whether you agreed with it or not, did what they thought was best for the children of this district and for the long-term security of our taxpayers. I couldn't be prouder to be a part of it, and I hope those that have mentioned tonight their ideas to go backwards. If that's the way you want to govern, that's your right to do it. But once you're elected, once the election's over, you got to govern. You're responsible for $180 million of taxpayers' money, and the children have to come first. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I was thinking, I heard a couple times tonight the term leveling off, and yes, Peasers is going to level off at 35%. And I can't help but think that if our prime rate went to 15% leveled off, what type of shape this country would be in. So the leveling off term, 35% is a lot. And we didn't have that 10 years ago. And, when I heard about Oliver Heckman, and my kids went to Heckman. My oldest graduated from Heckman. And they did get a good education. But they didn't get a good education because of the building. They got a good education because of the teachers. And that's So, I mean, that was a tough decision that was rendered last year to close that building, but it was the right decision for the district overall. And, the decision has to be made that we want to be a real estate investment trust and invest in buildings or invest in education. And if we start reopening buildings, and I've heard people talk about move fifth graders back, we're probably talking upwards of $20 million. So you know what? STEAM expos go out the window. Music programs go out the window. Band uniforms go out the window. And we go back to what we used to be. And we're not 62, number 62, whatever number we're at. We're back on 278, numbers like that. So, if you do what you used to do, you're going to get what you used to get. And that was a nightmare. And we have to keep moving forward. That's all I have. Thanks.
I just wanted to state, as Mr. Morris's comment about what we saved. I've had multiple conversations with Mrs. Markowitz. The consolidation plan saves approximately, actually over $3 million a year, every year, that's been reinvested into this district. Of course, it can't stay forever. PSERS grows, teachers' contracts grow. Special education last year grew by almost $2 million. So where would we be if we didn't consolidate? That's the question. So thank you.
I believe part of that savings is approximately $700,000 of that was due to the lowering estimate of the fifth grade move. It was estimated, I believe, it was $850,000 approximately, and ended up costing about $150,000 or $120,000. So I don't think you can count that $700,000 as part of the savings.
That's incorrect, Ron. That's not how it worked. When Dr. Hancock gave that original presentation, she laid out 3 different paths that we could achieve it. Basically, from a Cadillac plan all the way down to the Yugo plan. They don't make Yugos anymore, but that's where they were. And what each level would impact. And as she stated at that presentation, these are the numbers without accounting for any savings through realigning departments, realigning resources from departments. The savings that Dr. Hancock achieved in that program were basically done through better management. That's how they achieved to make the move and not cost the district money. Different departments shared different obligations, and that's how it was done. So while its paper number was, I think the Cadillac plan was $1.2 million, if I remember correctly, we basically ended up getting the Cadillac plan for only an additional $100,000 and some odd thousand of revenue, if I remember correctly.
But how can you count that as a savings?
That's not the savings.
That's not part of the 3.1?
No.
I haven't seen the 3.1.
Well, Mrs. Markowitz is there. I know she doesn't have the numbers with her, but you can talk to her and she can give you that information.
All this information is readily available to each and every board member that asks for it. I don't want to get into arguments over budgets. I don't want to get into anything else. I think everybody had a chance to speak this evening. I do want to ask. I want to thank Dave Marrington, Adam Kovitz, and Cindy Bowman. I believe are the 3 candidates that came up and spoke this evening. Thank you guys for putting your neck out for this. Most of the people I've been on this board with take this seriously, and it is very serious. $180 million a year. I give the biggest props to Dave for coming out and putting it right out there. You want to reopen Heckman? I mean, it's not a secret, and I give you props for doing that. But I ask the 3 of you, please, in the future, as we're coming up, let's try not to use this as a political platform for your campaign. It's a very touchy area. If Irene was still using a cane, I probably would have been hit by it this evening, in the direction that some of you have gone in. But I'm not one to cut people off. I try to let them talk. But if you could, please, keep that off. One thing that does discourage me, and once again, I want to go back to the seriousness of this position. Comments were made that there wasn't any money spent from the consolidation and stuff in Middletown. Steve eloquently stated that there was $25 million spent in Middletown before, I think, probably 60% of that was spent before we even put a shovel in the ground on the other side of the district. This whole consolidation plan started 8 years ago when I started. It was 2 different studies, hours upon hours upon hours, if you took it seriously and showed up and really looked at the information. 5 elementary schools within a 3-mile radius in one section of our district. The percentages at the time, the numbers were gone over and over and over. Where does each student live? I made the decision based upon the whole district, okay? It's easy to say I live in Lower South. I just celebrated the halfway point. I lived 24 years of my life in Langhorne, and I lived 24 years of my life in Lower Southampton. I went all through Neshaminy. I love Neshaminy. It was the best years of my life. These 8 years that I've spent on this board kind of made me feel like I was back part of that family. But I'm proud to say that I took everybody into consideration when I made my decisions. I'd love to reopen Oliver Heckman if we had an extra $20 million laying around, if Piecers wasn't going to level off at 35%, and we're using part of our money that we put away for Piecers this year. And we've used it to balance our budget in the past, but at the end of the year, we looked at it and said, wow, well, we actually didn't use that money, so we can put it into next year's budget. Well, I believe this year was the first year that the Piecers money that we allocated in balancing the budget was spent. I believe it's in $12 to $14 million range in our Piecers budget. If we're going to blow through $2 million a year, we got 6 years left. If it's leveling off at 35, we got 6 years. Okay, we can pay Piecers at 35% for 6 years, but there goes that $12 million. 6 years from now, what are we going to do? Well, how are we going to get that $2 million a year or $3 million a year back into the budget if we don't have it? It's a very tough place to be up here, and I rely on Steve a lot of times when I'm trying to go through and get numbers. Steve knows the numbers. He studies them. He's a machine. I call him on the phone when I have questions about certain things I can't get straight when I'm looking through things. It's a very serious thing to spend $180 million a year. I'm very proud of where the school district has come in the last few years. Like I said, 8 years ago when I started, it was a different place than it is now. Marty, you said it very well. We're at 76 now in the state of PA. When I started, we were beyond 250. And we're climbing, and we're not done yet. You look at the awards. You look at the last year of awards that come up to the podium for different arts or even education, or the teachers. We had the picture taken, and the teachers were being recognized. The district's heading in good places. And once again, I want to thank the 3 people that came up again for putting your name up. There's not much competition out there this year. There's at most 2 people or maybe 3 people vying for 2 positions, or 2 people vying for 1 position. It's not like there's 6 or 8 people that are, I want to be a school board member. But I just hope that the people that are running take it seriously. And it's 8 years that I've been here, 13 years as a student. I love Neshaminy. This is where I grew up. This is where I spent, a lot of my time the last 8 years. So once again, thank you for stepping up, and I just hope that everybody, even the people that sit up here, can continue to take this as seriously as possible. With that being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Could I get a second, please? Mr. Sullivan, thank you for the second. I almost had all 8 people say it. All in favor? Thank you. Good night.